Today we will check how good the Thunder Slam build is after recent buffs to Lightning Blade and Stormstrike respectively. The changes to the Lightning Blade really made it hit like a truck, as it is pure damage now, scaled off your weapon, and we can get some crazy amounts of modifiers to Stormstrike on top of that, resulting in some nice scaling. With not so crazy gear, I can get up to 60k crits on it, so our main focus on this build is to cast it as many times as possible to maximize the DPS. Keep in mind though that this is still work in progress, so I would love you to share your thoughts about it in the comment section below and some possible ideas to further polish the build. Let's get into it. Right, so as you can see guys, my gear is nothing really crazy. I'm sitting on item level of 70. Usually a Acacia's gear with like almost full judgment. Not full, but 5 pieces. And then supplemented with all the strength and spell power stuff as much as possible. When it comes down to talents, of course we go for strength. And the main things we will be using is a lightning shield, thunderclap, because thunderclap with talents proc maelstrom weapon kinda, because we can use lightning bolt or chain lightning. Stormstrike is just here for the synergy rolls. I've got energy bolt instead of lightning bolt because it uses energy, and yeah, it's just more sufficient to use. Chain lightning for some additional AoE. Then again, I've got arcane intellect, spell power, pretty important. Shadow step for extra mobility. Hunger for blood is pretty good, although we don't really have any bleeds, but from time to time, I don't know, sometimes it just happens to pop off. So for 10 seconds, we have increased nature and physical damage, which is pretty good because our lightning blade also scales off weapon damage, as you can see, 300% of your main hand weapon. So it's quite a physical, it's quite important as well, but mostly nature. Blazing of Might, more damage, G-Tag, more mobility. Lay on Hands, just some defensive cooldowns. Rebuke for interrupt, Bolt Charge, Deterrence, also some defensive. I wasn't lucky enough to get Flame Tongue or Frostbrand to check. I bet that Frostbrand with the Frozen Power talent is probably the best for this build, but I haven't checked it. So far, I'm using just Wind Fury weapon. Nothing really that great because it's physical, so, and with a single two-handed, we don't really get that many procs. But it's always additional damage, so it's there. But like I said, I think, personally, that Frostbrand with Frozen Power, that additional juicy 9% extra damage would be nice, but I'm not quite sure about the uptime on a single two-handed weapon on Frostbrand, so I'm really doubtful about it. Maybe just going Flame Tongue for some additional fire damage and extra spell power would probably be the best, but it's still to be tested. Other than that, in the toolkit, I also use Elemental Master, which is quite important, Shamanistic Rage as well, Thunder Slam for some AoE, Shimmer Air Ascendance, very important, Stone Shard, which is basically improved version of Earth Shock, let's say, Flame Shock as well, Rampage, just some extra crit chance, Control Stormed for some AoE here and there, Aspect of the Beast for more physical damage, like I said, more scaling for Lightning Blade, Flame Shock for additional shock to be able to keep the stacks more easily, and Zulian Guardian. I know I just rolled it, so doesn't matter. For the talents, I'm using the Vengeance spell for the talents for the spells, because Arcane and Nature criticals have a chance to attract a Vengeful Soul, increasing your magic damage by 8% for 12 seconds, so very good. Enhanced Weapon Mastery, all damage done by 3%, so that important modifier that increases your all damage. And on top of that, also increase the crit chance of Stormstrike and the weapons, so pretty good. Concussion increases damage by lightning from lightning bolts and shocks. Improved lightning shield, more damage from lightning shield itself, because we will be also using static shock, which basically our attacks and abilities have some chance to also strike with lightning shield. This is using nature modifiers, so it's just a pure additional damage, so why not use it? Mental Quickness, pretty straightforward. Unleashed Rage increases our damage under effect of Shamanistic Rage, and we will be using it constantly. I basically have it bound to my Lightning Blade spell, so it's being used off automatically with every cooldown. And on top of that, it increases our attack power, so very nice. Resolve, just some extra strength. Conviction, more strength, and crit chance, 200 weapon specialization, pretty straightforward. Burr increases nature damage. Master of Lightning, dealing damage with lightning shield, now reduces the cooldown of elemental mastery. We've got static shock, so elemental mastery will be coming up a lot faster. Elemental weapons, just to increase the damage from the weapons themselves. Earth and Moon, increases nature damage. Shamanism, lightning bolt, get additional scaling. Rampant Tornado, this basically increases our Stormstrike damage by 30% for 4 seconds, so very important talent. And we also have the second part, which is, where the hell is it? Why it's not in order, one after the other? Because it's a rolling, like, when we roll the talent. So Rising Wheel, dealing damage with Hurricane Strike and Storm Strike. Grant has Rising Winds, which basically increases damage of Storm Strike by 4%. It stacks up I to 5, so 32% damage modifier for Storm Strike. And then we basically automatically cast off Rampant Tornado, and the stacks are gathering once more, so just a little cute cool mechanic for it. Arctic Winds, just for pure all damage done. 200 weapon mastery, so more damage. Blessed weapons, even more damage. Divine Strength, even more damage. Ferocity, very good because it increases all our attributes by 5%. Armor to Teeth, more attack power. Stormborn. This is quite important because while we have Elemental Mastery or Shamanistic Rage, we also you deal more nature damage with our Stormstrike. But this proc has 8-second internal cooldown, which can be lowered by using casting Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, which basically means that single Chain Lightning in AoE completely resets that debuff, while Lightning Bolt, yeah, it just lowers it by slightly bit, but it's then there. Also, while we are going into the Air Ascendancy, this shit has absolutely no internal cooldown, and every Stormstrike we use will cast Stormborn, so then we can basically spam those lightning blades and all of those will get additional damage, so very good. And all of this is nature, of course, so even more scaling. Lunar Guidance for more spell power. Shamanistic Rage Harvest, melee critical hits reduce the cooldown of Shamanistic Rage by 5 seconds. This allows us to cast it even more, we just need to stay constantly in combat. Cruelty, more crit, 200 weapon spec. Crusade, all damage done. Assault and Battery, so damage with Thunderclap, allows us to use Chain Lightning or Lightning Blade, like I said, Lightning Bolt, like I said. Overload Blade, Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning restore a charge of Lightning Blade, so that's why the synergy is important. And Thunderclap gains a 25% additional spell power scaling. This is quite important because I did pick up a lot of talents to make Thunderclap useful. I just love this spell, I love how it looks, I just love the history of this spell, and I'm really unhappy about that. Basically Blizzard, maybe not at this point because in retail it is somewhat usable, but yeah, in like this Lich King and stuff like that, it's only like useful for tanking, not for really for DPS, and it's a shame because it's a really cool spell. Also it's AoE, so I really wanted to make it work. Unfortunately, the physical part, the physical damage part makes it basically not worth it, because if I would be able to get all the talents, it can create up to like 17 or 18k, which is not really great considering how much investment we have to make, because we have to get the certain talent points for it, we also have to take certain enchants for it, so a lot of investments with not really that worth outcomes. So if they would also apply that Thunderclap gains additional spell power scaling and also deal nature damage, then this shit would be really useful. If we could crit with it like 30-40k in single target, then it would actually be worth it. But at this point, I've checked it, just get rid of all the talents increasing Thunderclap damage. It's there only to proc lightning bolts. So that's the usage of it. You're better off just going for more all damage done increases or just certain things That will increase your Stormstrike damage even further. Hammer of Storms, this is also quite important because it's another Stormstrike modifier. Basically, when we use Thunderclap, our Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Stormstrike damage is increased by 15%. It also increases the threat generated. It's not really that important. Tanks can generate so much threat nowadays that we just don't really care about this. We just want that juicy 50% modifier for Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning Blade. Thunderstomp, Slam, and Stormstrike reduce damage of active cooldown of Thunderclap. This smoothens out our rotation because we usually want to spam all the stacks of our Lightning Blade. We got 3 of those. But when we kind of run out of it, we get into like a smooth rotation, like Lightning Blade, Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, Lightning Bolt, and then rinse and repeat. And this actually helps it make it so. If you just simply want more damage, you can get rid of it, but I like that very nice flow of rotation with it. Now we've got two very important things. Stormforge Edge. It's an amazing talent. As you can see, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Static Shock, and Thunderstorm hits increases damage of your next Storm Strike by 12%. It stacks up to 12. So in total, we could get 72% of additional damage on Storm Strike. The problem is, it lasts 6 seconds, but the problem is that it only increases the next Storm Strike. This is the first thing. The second thing is that I would love if this talent, specifically for this build, would be changed for a certain amount of time. So, for example, you could get that increase, but it would only last like 6 seconds. It can only last 6 seconds or maybe even 8 seconds. That would be like perfect spot. But it would apply to all your Storm Strikes, not only the next one. Then this talent would make sense. I know that this is mainly for like true Stormbringers, where you use the Stormborn Talent and then you just spam Lightning Bolts and occasionally use those Storm Strikes. This talent is for them, but I would love it to also work for this one. It wouldn't really change that much for Stormborn, pure Stormborn casters, because they can only use Stormstrike when the cooldowns off their abilities, so they wouldn't really utilize it that much. And for us, the Stormstrike melee, the Lightning Blade melee would utilize it, would benefit from it greatly. So who knows, maybe we'll see some changes for that, but I doubt it. Then again, we got Elemental Fusion. So casting our shocks increase damage of Stormstrike by 22% for 12 seconds. It can stack up to 3 times, so 66% juicy modifier, increased damage on Stormstrike. The problem is that you have to use different shocks for it. Usually you have to have at least 2. I'm using the Stone Shard and the Flame Shock. Flame Shock only when I sometimes forget to reapply the stacks. Other than that, I just, when I initialize combat, I use Stone Shard, then Flame Shock straight away. Then I use 2 skulls out of this talent to get 2 stacks, and then I wait like 10 seconds to use Earth Shock once again to get the 3rd buff, and then I only use Earth Shock in that small window between 10 seconds and 12 seconds, so 2-second window. Cast it once more just to reapply the buff, because each shock has an individual 10-second internal cooldown on triggering this effect. I would also love if this would be lowered to like 8 seconds, the internal cooldown. It would make the playstyle really smoother, because oftentimes it happens that you get CC'd or you get out of range or something and you lose all the 3 stacks because of it, and you have to build them up once again. It's nothing really that game-changing, but it's very annoying. So that extra 2 seconds opportunity in the window to cast it up again to keep up the buff would be amazing. Booming Thunder. This works well with Elemental Fusion because using Stormstrike, Lightning Bolts, or consuming Reverberation, oh my god, sorry, I can't speak, Reverberation talent gives us Booming Thunder, which increases damage of next Earthshock by 18%, and it can stack up to 20 times. It's crazy. Of course, with this playstyle, we don't really have any chance to get that 20 stacks, but very often it can stack to like half of it, so like 10 stacks, 11 stacks, and then it can crit to like 30k, so it's still very nice, especially that we have to use it one way or the other just to keep that elemental fusion, so that extra buff is always welcome. There's a barrier that increases all damage down by 3%, another one. Overload Mastery, I have actually two of those, Lightning Overload and Overload Mastery, because this one gives you 11% chance and this one gives you 20% chance, so in total I've got 31% chance to cast additional Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning. This is quite important for this playstyle because our Lightning Bolts actually refresh a stack of Lightning Blade, and if that Lightning Bolt actually procs the Lightning Overload, then it shoots out 2 Lightning Bolts, and from this Lightning Overload we can proc another Overload Mastery, which means that we can shoot out 3 Lightning Bolts. Of course, this chance for something like that happen is very small, but of course it can happen. Thus far, if something like this occurs, we get all the 3 stacks of Lightning Bolt back again. So usually it's very often seen to get 2 stacks of it back, which basically allows us to spam it even more. This is our main damaging ability, so that's why those 2 talents are really good. I also have improved Stormstrike because it increased nature damage that enemies take from us by 10%, so very good. Intensity and another all damage done increase. Improved Thunderclap, like I said, not worth investing, I just have to get rid of those talents now. Let's unlock the spell. Booming Echoes, it increases damage of the shocks, and also dealing damage with the Shaman Shock spell increases your damage with that magic school by 5%, so when we're using Earth Shock we get 5% more nature damage, so very nice talent. Thunderstack, another Thunderclap modifier, so we can also unlock this as well. Naturally Strong, very important, because casting nature spells or abilities increase our physical damage, and vice versa, so in our Smooth Rotation, Thunderclap works as a physical damage, thus far allowing us to keep up the buff. Extra 8% damage on nature and physical, very nice. Loose Circuit, I rolled it by accident, but basically dealing damage with Air Shock now grants Loose Circuit, which increases the damage of Lightning Shield, and Static Shock proc now has 20% chance to double hit, so extra passive damage, nothing really that crazy, but nice to have. I decided to keep it for now. Festering Wound, our Stormstrike crits apply Festering Wound, which increases nature damage by 20%. It can stack by 2%, in total 12 on 4 stacks. So very nice to have. And that's it. I also have Amorphazat Malediction, just to have some extra passive damage on top of that. And Deadliness, it only increases my attack power, so always nice to have. Yes, but first off, let's check out how does the DPS play out. So, you want to start off the fight with casting your shocks and charging in, of course. Then while you have 2 stacks, I just pop everything and smash my Lightning Blade button. The good thing about Air Ascendance is also that while using shock in the stance, you also get back Lightning Blade stacks. But when you run out of it, just simply Thunderclap normally. And from there, you just want to keep your stacks up and spam Lightning Blade as much as possible. I see my stacks running out, so I use my Earth Shock and continue spamming my number 2, then quick Thunderclap and Lightning Bolt. And that's basically it. As you can see, 22k without too much problem, so pretty nice. Let's have a look at the breakdown real quick. Lightning Blade, 53k's maximum crit. Stormborn, 17. Nothing really that crazy, but let's face it, just an addition to our Lightning Blade, and most of the damage comes from being in Air Ascendance. Energy Bolt, 21k, very nice. Stone Shot, 25k, as you can see, shocks can clap pretty nicely. Thunderclap, unfortunately, like we mentioned before, only 13k with lots of buffs on, so not really that great. Lightning Shield, just 3%, but it's an additional passive damage, so Wind Fury attack, 2.5%, nothing really that crazy. Other than that, there are some just additional things. We've got 1.5% more for Lightning Bolt because of the Lightning Overload. So pretty good. Rampant Tornado, nothing really that crazy. But yeah, I wonder how much it can actually scale. The talent we actually still need is the... Wait a second, let's have a look. Air Ascend... Elemental Reaver. This one because Shaman Shocks reduce air ascendancy cooldown by 12 seconds, so very important one. Maelstrom Weapon we don't really use, but 5% increased damage. Nothing really that crazy. The most important thing is of course the cooldown reduction. Other than that, Storm Guard is definitely worth taking, because then in AoE our Thunder Slam will basically also use nature damage, so it helps a ton actually with the damage dealing. And definitely I would love to take Frostbrand and Frozen Power just to see the uptime. If the uptime is pretty terrible with a two-handed weapon, then I would probably just go for single Flame Tongue. But like I said, this is work still in progress. If we do get some buffs, or if I do manage to get some crazier numbers on this bad boy, I'm definitely going to show you guys. I was able to reach to 343 in solo with this build, like 20k with the buffs. It goes even further than that, but there's plenty of AoE fights, so you cannot really measure it that much. But yeah, I would have to say that I'm starting to struggle, not because of lack of DPS. 20k is just enough on this level, just because of the defensive cooldown. So I do have Divine Protection laying on hands, just in case deterrence, just if I want to, you know, blink away or something to the nearest heart. But you know, sometimes you just get one-shotted, and it started to happen a little bit too often to my liking. So guys, don't forget to leave your ideas, propositions, how to improve this build, how to make it better. Maybe you guys have tried it yourself and can give out some feedback about it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.